Hey folks, and welcome to Greg's Golf Shack. If you're a do-it-yourselfer like me, you might want to re-grip your own clubs, so we're going to cover how we do that today. Now you're going to need a few things to get started. You're going to need some grip tape, some solvent of some sort. I even recommend one of these little vice clamps, and you can usually find these products as a kit on Amazon or something like that. I like to get the roll of tape and a big bottle of solvent because I re-grip my clubs a lot. Now they say you should re-grip your clubs about once every 40 rounds or so you can determine when you need to change your grips. The other thing you're going to need is some grips. So a little bit of an affordability tip, you know, brand name grips can cost a lot of money. If you shop around a little bit, some of the ones I like to get on Amazon are Karma grips. And I'm going to give these GeoLeap grips a try. I'm very impressed with what they're like so far. And you can get these things for about half the price. You get a nice little 14 pack. Now when you're buying grips, make sure you pay attention to the size. There's different sizes of grips. Standard size is what usually comes with your golf clubs, but they also have mid-size, which I use because my paws are a little bit bigger. They have oversize. They even have undersize. Sometimes it's labeled as ladies or junior. Thing is, even if you like the feel of a bigger grip, be careful because the bigger the grip, the less your hands will be able to turn over through impact. So you want to make sure you have some maneuverability. The way you can test a grip size is to hold it in your palm like this and see if the fingers don't dig into your palm. If they just sort of touch your palm, that's a pretty good size of grip. All right, I had a couple other tools there, like a utility knife and a hook blade, and I'll get into that in just a minute. Okay, so we've got our little vice clamp here. I'm gonna pop this steel shafted club into the vise and I'm going to tighten it. You don't want to go too tight because you don't want to bend that shaft or, you know, squish it. Just enough that it stays in place nicely. Now, if you're going to throw out the grip, it's old, it's used, it's cracked, it's slippery, you know, it can go in the garbage. So grab your utility knife and you can easily just kind of score it along there. Make sure you don't cut yourself. A couple little scores. You can push pretty hard on that. You're not going to damage the steel too much. And then you can kind of grab that grip and just peel it off. And if it comes off in pieces, well, just keep cutting away and get that little guy off there. Done. And you can toss that. Now, grip tape might be left. Sometimes a mistake people make is they just keep putting tape on and on and on. And that will actually increase the size of your grip. I tend to like about 2 wraps of tape. This has never been changed before this club, so I'll probably, you know, leave the tape on and go over top of it. Now let's look at if you have a graphite shaft. I'll pop that on there, put it in the vise, and I'm going to tighten it up. Now with graphite shafts, be a little more careful. You don't want to crack that shaft. If it cracks, it can splinter, it can break on you in the course, it can cause some damage. We don't want to dig the knife into these graphite shafts. You don't want to cut it. But I like to just generally with a sharp blade, just score it. Just start scoring that grip. So I have sort of a line to get started. I don't want to cut into the shaft. I'm just kind of giving it a little bit of a score. Then this is where your hook blade comes into play. You pop that into your knife and you put the hook on an angle so it doesn't dig into the shaft, but yet kind of cuts through that grip. You might have to get it started and then you can start cutting it through and it's not cutting into the shaft. Again, be very careful. Don't cut yourself. There we go. I didn't hear it cutting into the shaft at all, and I can pull that off, throw it away. Now this is a grip that already has a couple of wraps of tape on it. You know, this is the worst part of regripping your clubs, is trying to peel all this off. Now, I will usually take the time to get it started here and just kind of peel it off myself and just work my way down. And sometimes it'll go well, sometimes it'll all break up into little pieces. Some people like to use some Goo Gone, or they like to use rubbing alcohol and try to get all that stuff off. All right, so the shaft is all cleaned up. I'm gonna put it back in here, and now I'm going to align the head of the club down the end so it's straight up as if I'm looking at it, you know, at a dress on the golf course. And just tighten this up so it's not too tight. You don't want to hear that crack, but now we're at a stage where we're going to be pushing this grip on. So you want to make sure it's tight enough that it doesn't slip out of the vise. First thing I want to do is take my grip. I'm going to find out just kind of how long that grip is going to be. Maybe you want to take, you know, a little magic marker and put a little line on there where you're going to start putting your tape. Then I'm going to take my tape and I'm going to put it on there. I leave the tape just a little bit shorter so you don't see it poking out from under the grip. And I like to let it come out a little bit, like maybe a 1/4 inch or so. Cut off your tape and you can start kind of bending that on there. Now, often the tape will kind of overlap itself. So I like to go almost all the way around, try and get it nice and smooth. You don't want any wrinkles on it. And then I'm going to start peeling it off because it's 2-stick tape. Peeling off the shell and then bend the rest of the tape over so it kind of overlaps nicely and holds itself in place. Then I can peel off the rest of this tape, and there we go. We've got our tape on. And then you just bend over the end a little bit. Now we get to the solvent. So I'm going to use one of these Karma grips here, and mine has a spray bottle on it. I'm just going to spray it in there. You could dump it in if yours is just a pour bottle. If you're dumping it in, make sure, you know, it's going to come out of the hole in the bottom. I like to grab a little rag and maybe hold it on the end, and you kind of, you know, swish it around if there's some extra in there. And you can dump whatever leftover stuff you have onto the shaft. I'm actually going to spray the shaft, spray a bunch on. You know what I like to do? I like to take the little strip I took off, and I like to just kind of rub it on there like that to make sure it's all the way around. Then you take your grip, your club is lined up. I'm gonna just try and slip it on there. It's gonna be a little bit tight. You gotta wiggle it a little bit to get it on there sometimes, stretch it out a bit, and then just slide it on. Now, before you go all the way, put your rag down at the end there because it's going to squirt any leftover stuff out. And now I can just adjust my grip before it starts to set, make sure it's on there nice and tight. And if you like the look of it, you're done. Take that off. Let it dry for about 4 hours before you take it out on the course. You don't want your club going flying. All right, I hope that tip helped. You can regrip your own grips now. Play a better game. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Greg's Golf Shack.